Have you ever finished a night of training just completely drenched in sweat? Every muscle's exhausted, and you're sitting there thinking, man, did I actually get any better tonight? Am I actually improving? I don't know if these tough rounds are even worth it. And when you have these thoughts, it's very easy to start questioning your skill because tough rounds will push you both to the brink mentally and physically. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about how you can use these tough rounds to actually make your jujitsu better, not just walk away with a good, hard workout. If you're new to the channel, thanks for checking it out. My name is Chasen Hill. I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt who's been teaching and training now for over 16 years. So, if you guys like all things jujitsu, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you never miss the latest video whenever it comes out. Now, this is actually going to be video number 3 of our training partner series here. And in video 1, we really talked about the 3 elements that make up the majority of your training partners. And then in video 2, we really covered what we call the different challenge levels that your partner provides. And you can use those different challenge levels as a strategic way to develop your game. So if you haven't checked those videos out yet, I will leave links to them down in the description below, and you can watch them after you've watched this one. But ultimately, tough rounds are going to exist throughout your jiu-jitsu career. So they will occur when you are a white belt, and then they will also happen when you're a black belt. So there's really no way to avoid them. Now, personally, what I tend to notice the most as someone who has been through this journey was the reason behind what made a tough round difficult would change over time. So, meaning that a tough round for a white belt doesn't feel and look the same way as it might for a brown belt. So, like for a white belt, a tough round could just occur because you lack the basic understanding of the positions, or maybe you're not proficient yet with the movements. So you're having to exert a lot of extra energy and work harder. And then at brown belt, a tough round might occur because you're in a technical shootout. So you're exchanging counters back and forth until finally someone makes that mistake. The biggest misconception that I normally see students make about these tough training rounds is that they use them to really gauge their progress. And a lot of times it's because we have very black and white thinking that will say, if that round was tough, I am no longer doing good, or I'm not progressing, or I'm not getting better. And then we think, oh, well, if that round was easier, then I'm doing great and I'm getting much better. And I can understand that level of thinking. I did the exact same thing because in the beginning, every round is a bit tough. And so as you get more experience and you start having more success, the rounds start to feel easier and it feels amazing. So you start associating that little bit of easiness with that you're heading in the right direction. And then you go up against someone who just absolutely drops the hammer on you and you're like, well, that sucked. This guy still crushes me and nothing has really changed. So this is why students start shying away from tough rounds or not giving them the appropriate amount of effort that they really deserve. But the truth is, these tough rounds are really a gold mine for learning, and they're very necessary for your development. And really, the worst mindset that you can adopt about these types of rounds is that they aren't valuable for your training. But like many things in jujitsu, learning from these types of rounds is a skill. So you have to intentionally practice learning from them, and that takes effort. And if you shy away from the tough rounds, then you're never going to get good at learning from them. Once you can do this, you no longer look at tough rounds as just a negative light. You're excited for them. You're actually confident that you can walk away with some game changing information. And it really starts by changing your perception around what the meaning of a tough round is. So don't just think about these as just hard training rounds that you're going to leave sweaty and exhausted, but I challenge you to make them more valuable. Now, one of my favorite ways to use tough rounds is for developing your game. And when I say your game, I'm really talking about what you do either consciously or unconsciously inside of a role. So some students have no idea what they do. They just react off of instinct or they hit whatever technique they remember in the moment. and they're not even realizing the patterns that they tend to repeat. And then you have students who have consciously chosen their game. So they've built some sort of passing system, or they have default guards established, or they have created an attacking process that fits them. That's what building a conscious game actually looks like. If you need help starting this process, I've built a free tool for you called the Game Plan Generator that you can find down in the description below. It's really built around the 5 components I think every student should factor into their own game. But engaging in tough rounds can really help you build and develop your game in 2 main ways. The first way is it tends to reveal and diagnose your weaknesses. And then the second way is it tends to refine what you're already developing. First, let's talk about diagnosing your weaknesses. So, when you're in a tough round, it's very easy to fall victim to the chaos of what tends to happen. Your heart is pounding, making every breath very difficult to get. And because of that, you're not really aware or paying attention to what exactly is going on. You're not taking inventory of like the positions or the exchanges that are happening throughout the round. If you were to watch yourself on video, you would remember a whole different set of scenarios than what you're actually watching on screen right now. For example, maybe you are playing the bottom of the guard majority of the round and you remember placing your frames in a specific spot. But then when you watch it on video, you realize that your frames were nowhere close to where you thought that they were, and they were way out of place. That's what we call an unknown bad habit. Sure, like you're consciously doing a good thing by framing, but you're not putting it in the right spot. You're not realizing that you're behind on the timing. And so these unknown bad habits are a lot of times what makes a round 10 times harder than it needs to be. And that's where tough rounds actually become a gold mine because they reveal all these unknown habits better than anything else. And once you start to notice these, you can actually take the steps to break them. So, my advice is take a step back from this kind of winning or clashing mindset and step into a more of a searching mindset. I get it. These tough rounds have probably formed some natural rivalries with your other teammates. I remember being a blue belt and like having the same 2 or 3 people I would absolutely not want to give an inch to. And every round was like a battle. And if someone started pulling ahead, it became like an unspoken competition all of a sudden. But eventually, I just realized that just slowed my learning down because I was just trying to win and I didn't care how much physical energy I used or how clean my movements were. And so I started asking myself, okay, well, how can I go through this tough round and actually get benefit? What can I search for? What can I pick up on? And I would always pick up on 2 or 3 things that would make that round way more valuable than before. I just had to move away from trying to win every tough round. Now, let me know down in the comments below, what is something that you get a big benefit out of tough training rounds? What have they helped you do the most? Now, the second main way that I notice these tough rounds really help us is with our refinement. For example, I like to teach my students something called the root bottom game. And really, the goal of this is for them to consciously select a primary sweep and a primary submission attack. Ideally, that can work together. These tough rounds become one of the best ways to test and refine the areas that need further development. I'm not just talking about checking to see if the technique works or not. I'm talking about intentionally finding what we call the point of breakdown. Because you can know that a technique works and you can memorize all the details, but there's always something that will fall apart while under pressure. If you're always hitting that sweep or you're always finishing the attack and you're never getting a chance to discover where the actual potential failures are, then you're really missing out. So I encourage students to really slow down on that sweep, maybe hold it for an extra second or two, and don't finish the attack right away. See how they tend to respond or how they're going to counter. And typically, you kind of get to see things like, man, I've never seen that escape before, or I've never thought about them killing my hook in that way. And that's the information that you really need to make that area that you're trying to refine even better. So instead of just seeing the success as like I hit the move Woohoo. Walk away with saying, what could I actually learn? What weakness did I find in this thing I'm trying to develop even further? That is how you get success out of these tough rounds. And yes, I know it may feel weird that you are purposely maybe not hitting the move when you could have, but who cares? In a weird way, this is actually selfish for both parties. You're letting them try to counter the move, and then you're also able to steal any defense that you're able to take from them. But both diagnosing and refining requires the same mental shift about tough rounds. You have to stop thinking so black and white about them. Tough rounds are not about winning or losing, they have nothing to do with your progress. Tough rounds are about quality of learning. And I know some people will avoid this type of training because they think that it's too much on their body. But what if you stop defining that by purely the physical effort? What if a tough round was just a mental challenge? I've had a lot of tough rounds that were like a chess match, and it wasn't as exhausting physically. It was way more exhausting mentally. And that still counts. That still makes you better. So if you get discouraged from these tough and rough type of rounds, change how you use them. Don't shy away from them. Don't dread them. Try to learn from them. Let them expose the parts of your game that you can't see during the easy rounds. That's going to be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you give this video a like. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. That way you never miss the latest video whenever it comes out. And then check out one of these two videos that should pop up right here. And I'll see you guys in the next one.